Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति विधान स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नमाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. तिर्यक मनुष्य विबुद्ध आदिषु जीवयोनिषु आत्मा इच्छया आत्मकृत परिप्सया यह रेमे निरष्ट विषयः अपि अवरुद्धा देह तस्मै नमः भगवते पुरुषोत्तमाय। तिर्यन् मनुष्य विबुद्ध आदिषु जीवयोनिषु आत्मेच्छयात्मा कृतसेतु परिप्सयाय नेमे निरिष्ट विषयो अपि अविरुद्ध देहस् तस्मै नमो भगवते पुरुषोत्तमाय। तिर्यन् मनुष्य विबुधादिषु जीवयोनिषु आत्मेच्छयात्मा कृतसेतु परिप्सयाय नेमे निरष्ट विषयो अपि अवरुद्ध देहस् तस्मै नमो भगवते पुरुषोत्तमाय। तिर्यन् मनुष्य विबुधादिषु जीवयोनिषु आत्मेच्छयात्मा कृतसेतु परिप्सयाय रेमे निरष्ट विषयो अपि अविरुद्ध देहस् तस्मै नमो भगवते पुरुषोत्तमाय। आत्माच्छयात्मा कृतसेतु परिप्सयाय रेमे निरस्त विषयापि अविरुद्ध देहस् Tasmai namo bhagavate purushottamaya. Atme chayatma kritasetu paripsayaya. Reme nirasta vishayopi aviruddha dehas. Tasmai namo bhagavate purushottamaya. Tirya manusya vibudadishu jivayonishu. Atme chayatma kritasetu paripsayaya. Reme nirasta vishayo api aviruddha dehas. Tasmai namo bhagavate purushottama. Ladies, Tiryak, animals lower than human beings. Manushya, human beings, etc. Vibuddha Adishu, amongst the demigods. Jiva Yonishu, in different species of life. Atma, self. Ichhaya, by the will. Atmakrit, self-created. Setu, obligations. Paripsaya, desiring to preserve. Yaha, who. Reme, performing. Transcendental pastimes. Nirashta, not being affected. Vishayaha, material contamination. Api, certainly. Aviruddha, manifested. Deha, transcendental body. Tasmai, unto him. Namaha, my obeisances. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Purushottamaya, the primeval Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O my Lord, by your own will, you appear in the various species of living entities, among animals lower than human beings, as well as among the demigods, to perform your transcendental pastimes. You are not affected by material contamination. You come just to fulfill the obligations of your own principles of religion, and therefore, O Personality of Supreme Personality, I offer my obeisances unto you for manifesting such different forms. Purport. The Lord's incarnations in different species of life are all transcendental. He appears as a human being in his incarnations of Krishna, Ram, etc. But he is not a human being. Anyone who mistakes him for an ordinary human being is certainly not very intelligent, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.11. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanum ashritam. The same principle is applicable when he appears as the hog or fish incarnations. They are transcendental forms of the Lord and are manifested under certain necessities of his own pleasure and pastimes. Such manifestations of the transcendental form of the Lord are accepted by him mostly to enliven his devotees. All his incarnations are manifested whenever there is a need to deliver his devotees and maintain his own principles. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Shahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text 19. Brahma's prayers for creative energy. Brahmaji, the Adi Guru and secondary creator of this world, the material cosmos, is understanding very clearly what his role is. He has the most daunting role of creating all that we see and all that we don't see in this entire universe. Extremely powerful thing to do. To design every planet, to design the mountains, the seas, the plants, to design the bodies of 84 lakh species of life. Before that, to create the mode of ignorance, to create an environment of this world where there will be impetus to enjoy, and yet there will be every reason to get frustrated. The impetus is not to be removed. The impetus should be there. The desire should be there. Should always be there. And yet, when the Jivatma tries hard, that he should never get what he really wants. It should remain forever an evasive sense of fulfillment. And that will bring him to his next life, because he had something unfulfilled from the previous life. So then he has to go to the next life to fulfill that desire. And the same cycle will continue, where he will keep desiring things, but it won't be fulfilled. And then the next one, and the next, and the next, ad infinitum. She will go on like this. Anadi karma phale pori bhavar nava jale. Na dekhi koi no upay. Thakur Bhaktivinoda is singing that anadi karma phale, that particular karmic desires to enjoy this world, when did it start, is anadi. How many species we have lived is unknown except to the Lord. And yet, because he has such a powerful role to play, he is humbling himself in offering prayers. Somebody may think Brahma is so powerful. Not so powerful, he is the most powerful. Right? He also has to offer prayers. Great, powerful people don't offer prayers. They just do things. You tell them to do something, they will just do it for themselves or for whatever is required. But Bhagavatam teaches us that any act of service to the Lord, whether big or small, must be preceded by prayers. In fact, the extreme example which we find in the Bhagavatam is that when Aswathama is sending the Brahmastra to destroy Arjuna, because Arjuna and Krishna were chasing him since he had put the Brahmastra on Parishad Maharaj, right? He had killed the 5 sons of Draupadi. So, even as the Brahmastra is coming towards Arjuna, the Bhagavatam says that even in that state, Arjuna folds his hands and his friend is next to him and he offers him prayers. Now, this is a super emergency situation, right? And yet, before asking the Lord what is to be done, because Arjuna was apparently in a state of confusion, and yet Prabhupada glorifies Arjuna by saying that even in that state, Arjuna offered prayers. Somebody asked Radhanath Maharaj that, you are a great author, Maharaj. A great author. I said, no, he said, I'm a prayer. I offer prayers, right? So, offering prayers, the process of Vandanam, is a constant aspect of a devotee's life. Even when we chant Hare Krishna mantra, it is to be done in a prayerful mood. It is a prayer. It is a prayer, urging prayer, a beckoning prayer, a beseeching prayer, a prayer, my dear Lord, be kind upon me. My dear Krishna, my dear Sri Radha, my eternal parents, please be kind upon me and engage this Jivatma, your son, in your beautiful loving service. Right? That is the prayer of the Mahamantra which we chant 16 rounds every day, sometimes even more. It is only when the chanting is done with that mood will it actually ascend to the Lord's ears. The prayerful mood is so integral to any part of devotional service. There is always a great danger that the things which you do every day in devotional service may become mechanistic, ritualistic, almost robotic sometimes. But when we attach prayer, we are actively attaching consciousness. Just like when you send, in older time you send an envelope and there will be a letter in the envelope. The envelope is just the packing. Address to Mr. So-and-so, address so-and-so, and then inside is the important message, right? So the act of devotional service is the external format of the envelope, which must be there. Otherwise, you can't put... Nowadays we have emails, but anyway, talking about older times, we should not forget older times. We used to actually go to a post box, remember? The red colored box. And put the letter inside, right? You now put the letter inside. You always had an envelope to cover it, put a 50 paisa, or 5 rupee or 10 rupee stamp, and then let it go, right? So we now put letters. We put envelopes with the letters. So that envelope signifies the act, and the letter inside signifies our prayerful attitude. If you were to put only the envelope, and when the person receives the envelope, there's nothing inside. What happened to the content? So if Krishna just sees that the act is performed, but it is not done with that attitude of prayerfulness, it may not be really so pleasing. So Brahma is teaching us something very important, that we should offer all services with the act of Therefore, even before the Bhagavatam starts, all of us began today with a prayer, right? Everything is done in a prayerful mood. When do you yatra or anything, offer a prayer. When you worship Tulsi, offer a prayer. Vrindaya Tulsi Devi Aya Priya. Everything is done through offering of prayer. Then here, Brahmaji is glorifying various aspects of the Lord. Today he is glorifying the Lord's various incarnations. Of course, we know in the Brahma Samhita he has already mentioned Rama di Murti Sukalani Mena Tishthan Nana Avatar Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Paramam Pumam Yo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Nana Avatar Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu. Right? So the Lord is a very dynamic personality. Nothing about the Lord is stereotype, right? Based on, and he's very active. A dynamic person is very active. The Lord is very active. What is he active? What is he doing? In one sense, we say, Name karmani limpanti, right? The Lord has got no activities to perform. I mean, you and I have things to perform. We have to maintain our families, maintain this body, do our professions, etc. But what is the JD or of the Lord? Does he have a profile that he has to fulfill? The answer is a big no. Why? Because he is abhigya. He is independent. He may do it, he may not do it, right? And yet the Lord takes it voluntarily upon himself. No one told him. Who will tell the Lord? Because he's the super personality of Godhead. No one has to tell him anything, right? He tells Brahma to do what is necessary, but no one tells him anything to do. So he takes it upon himself. The word used by Prabhupada is paribsaya. Paribsaya is the word used, desiring to preserve. So while Brahma will create the world on his behalf, the preservation of this world is not by just the law and order situation of Yamaraj. Somebody is doing something wrong, punish him. Something is good, then reward him. That is not the complete system of maintaining this world. The Lord has to provide a system of maintaining people's proper consciousness and give them a ladder by which they can actually grow in their consciousness. Right? So the Lord takes upon himself, very important, that he will always do anything and everything to see that the knowledge to stay happily in this world and then gracefully leave this world to the spiritual world, that knowledge should always be preserved. That means at no point he will allow dharmasya glani to happen. He will be very active doing what? Either coming himself as Nanavataram, as incarnations, or sending personalities from his own entourage or his confidential associates to see that this work of preservation is always done. Right? And therefore, we have, Prabhupada talks about Rama Avatar, which we will talk today a little bit. Today is the holy day of Dashera. The Lord talks about the hog incarnation. And the word hog incarnation itself is hog incarnation. Very difficult phrase to, But yes, the Lord can take form as a fish. He can take the form of, the less talked about form of the Lord is the horse incarnation. Right? He appears in a small corner of Srimad Bhagavatam towards the end, before the 10th canto. So there is a horse incarnation of the Lord. He is called as Hayagriva. Right? Now, we don't talk about him so much, but he actually is a person who's played this role of preservation. What is the preservation he did? When the end of the day took place and the Lord was in his cosmic slumber and the day had ended, There's two powerful demons, Madhu and Kaitaba. They came and stole the knowledge of this creative energy which we're talking about today from the very heart of Brahmaji. Right? And that knowledge of Brahma was based on his Vedic understanding, because he is the source of the Vedas. He chants Vedas from his four mouths. Right? They took out the knowledge from within his heart. And the Lord actually had to appear into a long drawn battle as a horse. The horse, why horse? Why hog or boar? We sometimes say boar incarnation, maybe more closer to what is often said, boar incarnation, because the earth was deep down dunked into the Garbhodaka ocean. So having this tusk, the boar went deep down, he can dig into the earth and then bring up the earth. So he has a form most suitable for the act of preservation or what pastimes he used to perform. The horse is the source of power. The power is the source of great strength, great speed, great wisdom, right? So, the horse incarnation, in fact, in the Sri Sampradaya, there is a great saint called as Vedanta Desika. And whenever we go to South Indian temples, it is extremely common to see the Havagriha incarnation in various temples on the temple domes. Very, very common, which we don't see so much in North India. But in South India, they're very, very common. So Vedanta Desika, who is a follower of Sripad Ramanujacharya, wrote the Hayagriva Stotram. So there are stotrams on glorifying the horse incarnation of the Lord. Right? So he destroyed this Madhu and Kaitaba and again salvaged the Vedas and presented them back to Brahmaji so that he can continue this, what we're talking about today, his work of the creating this universe. Right? So, today's day is important because, again, Lord Rama is considered as Dharma Parayan incarnation. Among all the incarnations, he is the most Dharma Parayan. So when Dharma Glani takes place, Ram has played the very most powerful role of showing how to follow Dharma. And responding to the prayers of the demigods, he incarnated as Lord Ram to do many things, but especially to destroy Ravana. So Dashahara, Dasa means 10, of course, and Hara means to destroy. So he destroyed the 10-headed Ravana. So there's Dasahara, or in vocative we call it as Dashera. Now, why is this day very important for us? Because these 10 heads are not just heads, they are symbolic of all the anarthas which were there in the heart of Ravana. The six most important one are lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, and, of course, illusion. Then there is ego, then there is hatred, passion, and deep, deep, deep attachment. These are the 10 heads of Ravana. Now, when you look at these heads, don't they apply to us? Or do they apply only to Ravana? We can identify these heads, the consciousness within those heads is also deep there within our own hearts. Even though we are on the path of bhakti, the path of pure devotion, we know that when we water the seed of devotion in our own heart, the Bhagavata Beej, we are often also watering the weeds which are nearby. Rupa Goswami, there's a big detailed discussion of this by Lord Chaitanya in the Rupa Siksha by Kaviraj Goswami. He talks about watering the weeds also. So part of the nutrition goes to the Bhagavata Beej, but let's not forget, just like in anybody who has done farming or anybody who knows even common sense, we know that whenever trees grow, along with trees always, there are in fact, many years ago, there was somebody in ISKCON also, they worshipped somebody which looked like Tulsi, but it was like a weed, it looked like exactly like Tulsi. So at some part in America, they had started worshipping this plant, which they said Tulasi, Krishna, Prayasi, and some Indian came and saw. The Indians know Tulsi more. They are not seen Tulsi plant. They said, this is not Tulsi, this is something else, right? So the weeds look very much like our Bhaktirita beej, right? But they are actually our attachments, our passions, our anarthas. And therefore, the day when Ravan is destroyed, and of course, the way it is, the Leela unfolds also is so very important, that Ram is shooting his most powerful arrows at Ravan, right? Indrajit is already gone, Kumbhakarna is gone, Prahasta is gone, Akshakumar is gone, right? Many of his great yodhas are already finished. And now Ravan comes with his own special reserve army forces towards the end. Ravan, of course, had crores and crores and crores of demons by his side. So when he comes in this very huge, powerful-looking chariot, and of course, Ram starts shooting arrows. Ram, a little concerned, how I'm going to fight this guy, this person, right? And then immediately from the sky, the chariot comes down, starts fighting. And when he shoots the arrows, the heads drop. Cut, they drop to the ground. Within no time, the head comes back. Some of us have seen, who were there for Radha Maharaj's lecture years ago, we remember very distinctly, Maharaj would say, the head would drop and again, whoop, head would come back. He did several times in lecture. Whoop, it would come back, right? And we know how difficult it is for us to conquer these anarthas of lust. We resolve not to get angry. I will not get angry. But after 2 hours or 2 days, we lose control of that anger, right? Our lust, our anger, our greed, our pride, they keep on surfacing again and again. And it looks like an unending task. How are we ever in the world going to get rid of all these anarthas? The anartha nivritti path, which we are on right now, most of us are in that path, looks like a very long journey. That you remove all these weeds, right? And weeds keep growing. Weeds keep growing, right? So, today is a day when we can actually offer a helpless prayer. All these wonderful days of Madhav Tithi have great significance. Different things can be prayed on different days, right? So Vijaya Dashmi is to get Vijaya. We want to be victorious. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, we say, right? So we want to be victorious over Maya. Let's not forget that Bhaktivedanta Maharaj has mentioned this in his 6 volumes of that we are all ultimately spiritual warriors. Right? That when you take to Krishna consciousness, the moment you apply tilak kanthi and hold the bead bag in a hand, please remember, we are at war. We are at war with not our neighboring countries or some community or this and that, but we are at war with the most powerful illusory energy of the Lord. How in the world, when the greatest of rishis, saints, right, tapasvis, right, Shobari Muni, Vishwamitra Muni, these great personalities have utterly failed. Durvasa Muni utterly failed, right, to conquer their lower nature. Durvasa Muni, what type of tapasya he has done, but he still becomes affected by anger. Shobari Muni, he was staying in the water, the bed of the Yamuna, for such a long time, and he practically was surviving like a fish, breathing only the dissolved oxygen in the water, like a fish. He didn't even breathe, till his body became so loosened up and shriveled and started sort of peeling off, right? And then he just saw 2 fish doing their normal activity of union, which is common among any bird or any we look around, we see that happening among the lower species. It's something we never, when you don't have to look at twice, go on with your life. But when he saw just 2 fish having union, that again aroused the desire to have sensual pleasure. And then, whoop, said, forget all this nonsense, tapasya. Zup. He went out and he went to the courtroom of Maharaj Mandhata and said, I want to marry your daughters. So the daughters came out and I saw this very, very ugly looking sage who had lived in water for years, right? So his body was just like sort of like fibers coming out from his body. And they said they respected him as a sage, but to marry such a husband, Haribol, right? But the king knew that if the daughters refuse, he is going to give what will he do next? The curse. Right? And then, since the daughters refused, then he saw his own body. Oh, my body, they are looking at my body, and so he changed. He changed into the most beautiful, handsome, demigod-like form. And then he married all the daughters. And he said, me too. Everyone married. After having sense gratification for years and years and years and years and years, he realized at last that sense gratification will never satisfy the heart. After many, many years of enjoying everything which, because he was a mystic. So even though Mandhata was king of the universe, of the world, Saubhari Muni created a pleasure situation far more than Mandhata also, his father-in-law. Right? It's unlimited mystic power he had. And yet all that could not satisfy his heart. So we can understand from these stories of Bhagavatam, these pages are very instructive, that lust is always insatiable. And that was the whole damn condition of Ravana. He had a harem which had the most beautiful apsaras of the entire universe. And yet, he did the diabolical act of stealing the universal mother, Mother Sita. Right? And after losing his entire brothers and his entire race of Rakshasas were getting destroyed, his lust would not leave him. That's how powerful the lust to enjoy is there. It is the most deep-seated, deep-rooted thing in the world. The desire to enjoy the world is deep, very, very deep. So what are we going to do? Is our simplistic sadhana of chanting 16 rounds and doing some seva here, is that enough to uproot this deep-rooted things which is there for millions of years? Do we have the power to uproot that? We can all know from within our own experience that it is helpless. Today is the day for prayer like Lord Brahma. Vijayadashmi. My dear Lord, it is only you who can destroy the Ravan in my heart. So, let us take advantage of today's beautiful day and spend the day in remembering Ram, one who is the destroyer of Ravan, who was destroyed not only so many years ago in Treta Yuga, but he still resides and is still very, very, he is very active in the heart of all of us. And keeping us away from the Lord of our life, Radha Gopinath. Of course, it is also the day when the great personality, Sripad Madhavacharya, is born. So today is a great tribute. His deity form is there on the altar today. So it is said in Krishna consciousness that we should keep away from lust, from greed and pride, and you wonder, how do we really do that? Right? We're going to be proud of something. So it is said we cannot really destroy pride, but we can transfer pride to some personalities who are worthy of being proud of. Right? So today is the day to pride in Madhavacharya. Why? Because we belong to his sacred sampradaya. He is our great, great, great ancestor in the line of the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. And as we said before, Paripsaya, preservation, right? So Madhavacharya has done something which is so important for this planet. we sometimes don't acknowledge that as much as we should. Because the geographical and the chronological time when he came into this world, 1238 AD, and he lived in the world till 1311. 1238 AD is a time when there was a rampant spread of Shankaracharya's Advaita philosophy. Right? Buddha had just gone, and since Buddha had promulgated the Buddhist nihilistic or philosophy of Shunyavad, where you destroy your desire, you destroy your mind, because the mind is the source of all desires. As long as desires are there, attachments will be there, attachment will be there, will lead us to the next life, next life, next life. Destroy this mind, destroy desires. Right? It's called as a nihilistic philosophy. Philosophy of negation. No more mind. If no more mind, no more desires. If no more desires, no more attachments. No more attachments, no more life again. Right? So anyway, so that, and the next thing Buddha had done was to negate entirely the Vedas. Today, talking about how the Lord comes to preserve the Vedic knowledge. But Buddha had negated the Vedas. Why? But the Vedas also have a particular section where animal slaughter is allowed. And the corrupted Brahminical society of the times were using that to promote animal slaughter. And not one or two, but in practically most temples of the world, there would be so much slaughter taking place and bloodshed and innocent poor animals being killed by the thousands every day. The Lord is very compassionate. They are His children. How would the Lord allow His children to be slaughtered every day like this? It's not possible. Right? When we see somebody getting beaten up on the roadside, we feel very sorry. We may not be able to go and save him because these gundas cannot enter into their fray. Right? You see, oh, somebody's been beaten up very badly, black and blue. And these people murdered, killed. And because of what? Oh, authority is the Vedas. This is given in the Vedas. Right? So Buddha came and said, no more Vedas. No more Vedas. Right? So so Buddha's philosophy is a philosophy of negation, where he even negates the Vedas. So it is said, Vedana mandilo Buddha hoilo nastik. So we don't accept that philosophy. Buddha hoilo nastik. Astik and nastik. Astik is one who somebody accepts the Vedic understanding. So how would the world survive if there is no Vedic, if there is no flow of the Vedic current of knowledge? It's impossible. How can the world live? What is the hope for the world if there is no Vedas? Right? So you have to bring the Vedas back. Who did that? Shankaracharya. So he said, he brought the concept of the absolute truth. But absolute is what is Nirakar and Nirguna. He is Nirakar and he has got no potencies and he has got no attributes. Right? We won't go into the details of Shankaracharya's philosophy today, right, because of lack of time. But basically, it is a philosophy which talks about absolute truth, but gives them no attributes whatsoever. Everything is one. And the worst thing which Shankaracharya philosophy does is that it equates the soul with the supreme soul. That both are one. Right? So we came to this world to become gods. And now you have a philosophy which tells you, yes, you can become one with God. Right? You have a complete philosophical basis of a great acharya like Shankaracharya, which says, yes, you can become God. You just do these things, and actually you are one with God. You are covered by Maya, right? But when you remove the covering of Maya, become one with God. You become Ram. You become Ram. Right? So, this philosophy is obviously going to be extremely popular. And today's world also is very, very popular. Right? Most philosophers and so-called saints of the world today are either pure Advaita proponents or mixed Advaita proponents. Right? And therefore, it's very, very dangerous to associate with them. We must be very careful. we may not be able to understand sometimes. It comes in a very disguised form. But Mahaprabhu has given us warning. Again, we must heed the warning. We are followers of Mahaprabhu. Mayavada bhashya shonile hoilo sarvanash. Why sarvanash? Why such a heavy word was used by Mahaprabhu Chaitanya? Sarvanash? Hearing philosophy? How can philosophy be? Yeah, drinking alcohol is sarvanash, and murdering somebody is sarvanash, or killing a brahmana is sarvanash, killing a cow is sarvanash. Fine. But just hearing some philosopher who's an ascetic, apparently practicing vairagya, living a simple life, hearing him is how can it be sarvanash? Very important to understand. Because hearing Mayavad philosophy destroys our propensity to serve. Because we are what? Jivaswarpaya Nityara Krishna, Krishna Nitya Das. We have a nature Das. The moment you hear philosophy of the Advaita school, we destroy the desire to serve. And therefore it is like a spiritual suicide. Right? And therefore that role to again re-establish the difference between God and the Jivatma was done by Sripad Madhavacharya. 5 things. That the Jiva and God are different too. Right? Then the Jiva and Prakriti too. The Jiva and Jivas themselves separate. Prakriti amongst itself has diversity separate. Right? So he established such 5 principles of variegatedness. So his finger is showing, as you can see there. His finger is that it is 2. 2 means Dvaita. 1 means Advaita, non-Dvaita. 2 means philosophy of dualism. And that is such a savior for the world. Krishna is talking about himself, Sarvasya Chaham Ridhisa Nivishto, that he, the Shvetashvatara Upanishad talks about the 2 birds on the same tree. The Jivatma bird who is tasting the birds, the fruits, some good fruits, happy, bad fruits, unhappy. It goes on like that. But there is another bird there sitting and watching. When will he turn towards me and listen to me what I have to say? Right? So it talks about 2 birds, the soul and the supreme soul. Right? So that comes from Sri Madhavacharya. And being very, very powerful. So, in fact, we should acknowledge the fact today that they are all the incarnations of Vayu. Today we're talking about incarnations, not only of the Lords, but we also want to acknowledge the incarnations of Vayu. Vayu is a very confidential servant of the Lord. Very, very close. Extremely powerful personality, right? So his first incarnation of Vayu is Hanuman. And there cannot be a temple of Vishnu without Hanuman. There cannot be a temple of Vishnu without Garudaji, right? Hanuman is always undeniably present everywhere because he's so very close. We can understand the role of Vayu, right? He's there. So, his first incarnation is Hanuman, and we know what role he has played in Ramayana. And the next incarnation, of course, is Bhimsen. So, Hanuman created havoc in Ramayana and helped Ram. And the next incarnation, when he came as Bhimsen, he created havoc, right? 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, all of them, single-handedly, one person. 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, one person was enough, right, to destroy everybody. That is Bhimsen, right? How much he assisted the Lord in his pastimes to preserve knowledge, to preserve Dharma. And then, of course, the next incarnation he comes as Madhvacharya. He's called as, he also is acknowledged as Mukhya Prana. This is an important word to remember, Mukhya Prana. Why Mukhya Prana? Because, like in our body, we say, Uska Pran chala gaya. His vital force is lost, his prana is gone, right? So the Prana Shakti is our life force. And Vayu is the life force of the universe. right? It is the Vayu who gives the breathing capacity to all the demigods, to all the plants, the trees. Everything which is breathing in this world is breathing because of Vayu. If there is no breathing, instead, when we say somebody starts gasping, we know that his prana is leaving him, right? Then he starts breathing, he said the prana is gone because he can't breathe anymore, correct? So therefore, he is called as Mukhya Prana. Mukhya Prana. Therefore, he is worshipped in the Madhva Sampradaya as Mukhya Prana. So Madhacharya has got, of course, there are various pastimes. The son of Madhya Bhatta and Vedavati is most known for his supernatural strength, right? Extremely powerful personality. Of course, because he is Bhimsen and Hanuman incarnate, so he is going to be very, very powerful. So there are his pastimes which are regarding his strength of intellect, when he could debate. Please remember, at that time Shankaracharya follows them. They had conquered the whole world with their philosophy. And this one person was standing in front of all the Shankarites and single-handedly, just like Bhimsen had to destroy single-handedly entire Kaurava army of 100 sons, Madhacharya was single-handedly destroying every Shankarite who was present at that time. That is his power, right? He's so powerful he was. He could stand courageously and engage in debate and destroy them. Again, re-establish the philosophy of Dvaitavad. So, even today when you go to Udupi, for example, just a few kilometers away from that place, there is a place where there's a huge snake, very huge snake, several feet long snake was there, which was supposed to be there from the Mahabharata times, right? And he was troubling the villagers and destroy them. And Madhacharya just came there as a child and he put his thumb on the head of the snake and the huge python died. So if you go today also, you'll see the power of his thumb. Now we know the power of our thumb. If you have to ever compare our thumb with Madhacharya, you can try and do that, right? So you can press your thumb to whatever extent you want, right? And you can't get impression either cement or wood or stone. You can't do anything. You can only create some impression in sand, which will go away in 5 minutes, right? But he created an impression in stone. The power of his thumb was able to melt even a rock, right? That was his power. And of course, he had various strength showing pastimes where people were trying to lift his thumb and could not lift it, and wrestling. He was always victorious. So he was always victorious. Vijay. We talk about today, Vijay means Hanuman was always victorious. Bhimsen always victorious. And Madhacharya, of course, always victorious. So, one of his sweetest pastimes, which we must remember today, what he has given the world, is his fetching this deity of Udupi Krishna, right? Which the whole world adores, with Vaishnavas adore. So you know this beautiful story of this big ship being carried across the waters and at Pajakakshetra, the ocean shore, when there was a big storm. And the big storm was there, and the storm, it was most likely that in the storm the ship would, of course, capsize and drown. And there was a big helpless cry from the other side, and Madhacharya is there, happens to be there by the Lord's arrangement. And then, like Arjuna says, it is difficult to control the wind for me, right? Arjuna says this, Chanchali Mana Krishna Pramati Balavadridam. But Madhacharya opens his shawl and just waves it in a particular way, and just waves it, and the whole storm dies down. Just a movement of a shawl. That is the power of Madhvacharya. He can control the wind because he is the son of wind god. So at his signal, the wind abated. So the ship came on the shore, and then they were very happy because they're carrying a lot of merchandise, costly merchandise across, right? And said, you can take anything from here, whatever you want. I said, I'm a virakta, I'm a sannyasi. I don't want anything. These blocks, can I take these blocks of chandan? So they brought chandan blocks from Dwarkapuri side, right? Because there these blocks were supposed to balance. So there were a lot of merchandise on one side, the ship would go other side. They put these huge blocks so that we can balance both sides. So can I get those blocks? No. They're just like weight management things. You take them. They're useless. They don't have no commercial value, right? So he takes the block, one block, and the block burst open. And from there emerges a beautiful form of Sri Balramji. Balramji Maharaj ki, right? And there is Balram's desire to have a temple there. So today you go to Paja Kshetra, at the seashore itself, we have a beautiful, nice, ancient temple dedicated exclusively. I don't know how many temples are there like that, but there is only, to my knowledge, I don't know, there could be, but there is one temple dedicated only to Balramji exclusively. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Balram. And the next one he lifts up and he carries, and that bursts open, and then comes that beautiful deity of Sri Krishna. And as he carries this deity, now Balram is already here, so he wants to carry it to Udupi. And Udupi, then he chants his beautiful stotras, right? Beautiful 12 prayers, Vlasha Stotra, which are even today revered and chanted by every Madhava follower, reveres these prayers as their life and soul. And so he carries them singing these nice prayers, and he installs this form of Krishna in Udupi. This form is very special. Why? Because this form of Krishna, which was salvaged by Madhacharya, was worshipped personally by Rukmini Devi. When Rukmini Devi heard the pastimes of Krishna from Rohini Devi about the Lord's childhood pastimes, and so Rohini Devi has seen these pastimes, right? And therefore she was narrating the pastimes of Krishna's childhood. And then hearing the pastimes, even though Rukmini Devi is in the Swakiya Rasa of conjugal love with the Lord, and yet her desire to worship and see that form of Krishna as a child arose in her heart. Right? And then fulfilling the Lord's her desire, then Krishna manifested this form where Krishna is standing on one hand with this cane, which is called as Vetra, right? And then other hand he has, I believe, they say dahi rice, and some will say fruit salad. What is it? Makhan? Makhan, okay, makhan. So he knows better, he is from Udupi. So he has makhan in his other hand, right? And the form is so sweet, so beautiful, very, very, very. And Rukmini Devi's heart just was sold out to that. And for years, as he was saying in Dwarkapuri, she was not only worshipping Krishna in the form of Dwarkadhish Krishna, but she would also worship Udupi form of Krishna. And then when the end of Dwarka took place, there was a, there's a flood, everything was destroyed. And yet, because these deities were worshipped by Rukmini Devi herself, by the Lord's own arrangement, they were again salvaged, and they are now there for all of us in the whole world to see, present at Sri Udupitam, which is the headquarters of Sri Madhvacharya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself went to that place and worshipped Udupi Krishna and discussed philosophy with the Tattvavadis there. So today is a great day, wonderful day. We have less time, we can't go to the details of Madhvacharya's life, which is very, very interesting. But today is a day for meditation, on introspecting. It is said that the life of a devotee is incomplete unless he undergoes the faculty of chintan. Chintan means internal introspection. Because we are usually Bahirmukh consciousness, we are usually engaged in external activities, either material or spiritual, and yet it will be incomplete if we do not examine our own heart and examine as to what is the state of our own anarthas. To what extent am I being infected? Prabhupada says our material life is infection. To what extent I have been infected with these anarthas of which are being embodied by Ravana. And the more we introspect with a sober heart, the Lord will reveal that what is the hard work we need to do to work. And that understanding of our situation will create a more prayerful attitude towards our sadhana. When we chant our rounds, we perform devotion, we will do it with a more deeper sense of helplessness and begging, urging, beseeching the Lord that please help me, right? Because to get rid of the anarthas is impossible, just like to get rid of Ravana's heads was impossible for anybody. So today is a day for chintan, for prayer, and for glorifying the Supreme Lord as Lord Ramachandra, to remember Hanuman, to remember Madhvacharya, and of course to remember Prabhupada, who gave us the highest jewel of the Achintya Bheda Tattva philosophy. And Madhvacharya came and actually set the stage these acharyas, they come and play their roles, and yet they are playing they are part of an orchestrated role in setting the stage for the supreme incarnation. We will end with incarnation today because today's sloka is about incarnations. The supreme of all incarnations is, of course, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So Ramacharya, Madhvacharya, they came and set the stage that now that Shankaracharya is destroyed, the Dvaitavad has been established. Right? The Vishuddha Dvaita, then Dvaita philosophy, and now then the Achintya Bheda Tattva is to be established by Mahaprabhu. Right? So from Madhva Sampradaya, the Lord has taken two things in a synthesis of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which we must acknowledge today also. And one is a pure devotional service to Krishna, and second is refutation and refutation of the Mayavad philosophy. And our dear Srila Prabhupada has accepted that within his pranam mantra. Right? So how very important is Prabhupada through his pranam mantra is showing his great affiliation with Sripad Madhvacharya, because we will chant his mantra, pranam mantra together to acknowledge Prabhupada's connection with Madhvacharya. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. The destroyer of Buddhist philosophy, the destroyer of the Advaita philosophy, and upholding the highest philosophy of Achintya Tattva is our beloved Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.